Hi there, welcome to Wyckoff Technical Analysis session for Filecoin. If you're new to my sessions, here are the key takeaways that you can expect from my sessions. So let's start with the weekly chart of Filecoin. So I've just put in some key levels and also the Wyckoff tags for Filecoin on the weekly chart. When we get to the daily chart, we'll have to adjust the Wyckoff tags over there. So what happened for Filecoin is that it seems to me we have gone through the entire spring period during the end October all the way into the beginning of November. And this bounce off from the spring, it's an early sign that it's going to show us like a sign of strength since late July. Even though the rejection is pretty strong when the price gone above the yellow key level of $3.60, it shows to us there are pretty heavy interest over here by looking at the volume bar. Alright, so current price got back to near the red key level of 2.65. So when we get to the daily chart, we'll see would the accumulation continue between this white solid line at the bottom around $2.28 and the orange key level of $3.15. This white box basically is the long-term playground zone, meaning from 2018 till now, most of the time, about 70-80% of the time, Filecoin has been trading within this area, other than the crazy peak period. Okay, so now we get to the daily chart. It's time to put in the Wyckoff tags. So remember, when we do Wyckoff in daily chart, which it wasn't designed for, there will be quite a bit of noise and the stages won't be in sync with the weekly chart. So when we see these two, there were, like when I look at this, it's two distributions to me, and then that's where it got to a new selling climax on the October 11th, and eventually there was an automatic rally right there. I have to, sorry for the mobile users because there's so many events happening right there, so I have to put this in a smaller scale, and then I'll zoom in so you can see clearer. There probably isn't this period, so let's park it right there because that looks like one to me. So what we had was actually spring, just a couple of days back. There was also a subsequent test as well. So that's the accumulation period that we have gone through since mid-October. Alright, so about two and a half weeks, and then we've got a bounce upwards. Now it's getting back, but there's also some buying force when it got below the red key level of around $2.6. Okay, so that's why I said maybe it's going to turn into sideways trading instead of coming back to the spring. Hopefully that's the case. Not that it's zero chance to come back down again, just that we don't want to see that happen. But this white line over here, that can definitely happen. Like the price can come down and trade between the white and the orange. That was what happened since April all the way till mid-October. Okay, so let's put in the other tags as well. That's definitely an LPSY multiple. That for me is a buying climax right over there. There was another selling climax, automatic rally, sign of strength. If there are multiples and they are too close, in the daily chart I tend to just put in one because it would otherwise be too busy to look at. Consider this backup and last point of support period. preliminary support stage, not support, supply. Okay, we've got a PSY over there. Not the famous Korean guy, but a preliminary supply over here. Second test, that was an automatic reaction. We've got a tag over here. That was an automatic rally. So two different terminology for ARs. When it comes down from the buying climax, that's the automatic reaction. When it goes up from the selling climax, that's the automatic rally. Okay? So, just to take a look and see what's missing. So here is interesting when I call these a sign of weakness, because they went to the point where it was almost the same level as the accumulation, just a month or two earlier. But in daily chart, that's the tricky part. If we try to plug in Wyckoff, we have to make our own choice as to what that really is, in order for things to make sense. Okay, so there was another distribution. If you like to, you can put in the tag. That's basically accumulation, and then it went up to the climax over here. So I'm not going to put time into that for now, because the focus is on the future, not in the past. So right there, assuming this, let's say in the daily chart, is the PSY, all right, that might have gone through in one day. This maybe is the buying climax, and we're probably seeing the automatic reaction. Okay, it's pretty much question marks for now, until, like I said, because buying power is pretty strong right over there. There may be a second test coming back to somewhere around the orange key level. Alright, so it can bounce, it may go past as well, and then it may eventually come down again. So that was what happened right over there. Just that this time it went higher for the climax in the daily chart. But don't forget the big picture in the weekly. Okay, it's still going through the stage. Like I said, it's not showing very solid support over here. Unlike some other altcoins where they got quite sustained pump and volume. If we go to the daily chart, we don't see that kind of sustained buying power coming in. Okay, so Filecoin is a bit different from maybe ICP or some other altcoins that see continuous daily high volume, pushing the price to even higher level. That's not the case for Filecoin, for the time being at least. So that's why I say maybe there will be some sideways trading for the very near term. Just want to quickly check if there are any particular trend going on. Not at the moment, because of these wild movements, and then now coming down from that. Not that we've got any particular breakout time point. If I really have to draw a line, which is pretty wild guess. So if that really is such a line, resistant line over here, coming down from the buying climax, and for the subsequent days, the price continues to trade towards this side. And eventually when we get to sometime near November 12th or 13th, so just a few days later, it may come down breaking the white again, or like I said, it's going to trade sideways. Because if this line is really in effect, what happens is, if the trade continues over here and being suppressed, it has only two options, right? When we get to Wednesday, if it's still within this area. Either it comes down, breaking the white, or it goes above, trading sideways between the white and the orange, like I said. So the next 3 days is going to be key, because if it really comes back down, we may, or Filecoin may have to go through another similar period that we had during like second half of October and also the first week of November. All right. So that's for Filecoin. I think that's pretty much it. While the bigger picture in the weekly continues to seek for a more solid sign of strength before it can go further to the new distribution cycle. In the daily chart, it basically is going through its own mini distribution, not knowing whether it's going to come down for another round yet. Hopefully it's not. I tend to think it's more likely sideways. Alright, that's just my own thinking, not financial advice. So thanks for joining me. See you in the next session.